Easy on me today. Okay, so the primary purpose of this call is that obviously training of our production staff is very important. Increasing their overall productivity is incredibly important. It's a primary focus. So with your assistance, I would like to talk to you about the last two training classes that we had, as well as what we have coming up next week. 2 calls ago, one of the primary topics we discussed was getting control of our day and activity or time management. And so I sent out a worksheet to everyone, and I believe you guys were included on the email, that would ask for them to document the type of activity they're performing on the time of the day that they're doing it. So for example, if they're doing appointment action calls, document how many of those calls you're making, what hour of the day that you're making them, and then more importantly, what was the result of making those calls during that hour. So if you were successful in getting an appointment, that's important information to document. If we could get 2 weeks of that data, we can really look at that data and then find ways to improve our overall performance. In some cases, we may find that if we're making appointment action calls in the morning and we're only getting 1 or 2 appointments out of making X number of volume calls, but then on an afternoon when we did the same activity, we were able to get more appointments doing the same exact kind of call, well then clearly that kind of trend would show us that maybe we need to shift our everyday timepiece to mirror where we're getting the greatest level of success. So if you would please follow up with your SMS production team and ask them if they haven't already to start tracking their activities. If they have started already, to offer yourself one-on-one to spend some time and look at those trends and see if we can help, either from your level or if you want to include me in those conversations, them to better tweak their day and so that we can get a higher level of performance. Does anyone have any questions related to that activity or to my recommendation about you getting involved in following up on them doing that activity? I heard somebody just a moment ago.
Garrett, it's Ray Richardson.
Hi, Ray.
And I'm actually using that same format for my non-medical BDMs too, so I think it's a helpful way of tracking quantifiable activities, so I think that's good.
Well, that's great. Thanks for sharing that with us. And that's the intent. Of course, you can use it with your non-medical staff. I do think it is a very useful tool. And as sales managers, it's our opportunity to help our sales team reach the quotas and the goals and the budgets that you've established for them. And if we can help show them ways to refine their use of time so that they're getting the most out of every second of every day, then obviously we're all going to get better results and be happier with that. The following week, we did a brief training on handling resistance. And with that training, we talked about a variety of different tools that you can use to overcome pretty much all of the standard resistance that we're normally going to see when selling to our customers. And so after we finished that call, I provided all of your staff with a worksheet, and it's like 6 or 7 pages. It's fairly lengthy, but it had pretty much, we did a kind of a roundtable throughout Snelling and got a list of all of the main resistors that we get from our customers. And so we put those in that worksheet and then left room for them to think about using some of the tools that we talked about in my training on how we would overcome that resistance, and write that out so that they're thinking ahead of time on how they could overcome certain topics. So if the topic is your price is too high, how would you overcome that? Let's write it down and think about that in advance. I mean, hopefully if they go through that activity, it'll put them in a position as they move forward to be able to better handle and to improve their reaction time to handling that resistance and getting the results that we're hoping they get. So I'm also asking you as their managers to offer to spend some one-on-one time with them to help them complete that worksheet and talk about maybe what their thought process was and maybe how you would tweak and do it differently. I've volunteered to make myself available an hour each week for each of your production staff, and some of your teams have already taken advantage of that opportunity, and I still have some calls to make to some of your offices to see if they would also like to take advantage of that opportunity. And we will be talking about some of that stuff, but the purpose of that call really is to talk about, what are you doing right now? What opportunities are you trying to work through your funnel? What decisions did you make on your next steps? And see if I could use my experience in any way, shape, or form to help them make decisions on how to move forward and win that business. Or maybe it's related to pricing business, or I really want to talk about what their challenges are right now today with the aim of reaching their production goals. But in the short term, when we do these bi-weekly conference calls, that's really an opportunity for us to talk about more global topics and to give them